vote in an elected official for. We're talking about accountability. Everybody here works hard for their paychecks. Everybody goes to work to earn a living for their families. We shouldn't be exempt from that. So to hold somebody accountable, to work as a team, to work along with your staff to say, you know what, I see what you're doing and what you're doing is important. What you're doing is important for the residents of Lake County. What you are doing is important for your office. So I'll work there right along with you. When I came to the recorder's office, I was there working with my staff and I was training. I asked my staff to train me. Can you help me answer phones? Can you help me make this receipt? How do I wait on this customer? Everything that the elected official is able to do, we learn for our staff because that is our support system. I want to be held to that standard. I've proved that I've already been held to that standard, and I ask for your vote to have me do that again. Thank you.
Okay. I know we're getting ready to wrap up. I have one more question for you. But when I go try to get... I'm sorry.
Restate your question.
I apologize. My question for you was, how will you communicate complex financial way everyday residents can understand? And my apologies, Ms. Ford.
Oh, that's fine. You owe me dinner. No.
Absolutely.
Actually, that's a good question. One of my main objectives is communication because it doesn't exist. We have a functioning website that could be tailored, that could be utilized, but it's underutilized. I would love to have, and I created a whole communication plan that I intend to put in place using our website as well as snail mail, social media, working with the treasurer's office, sending a newsletter home to make sure that you see what we're doing. On that website, how many of you would love to have a financial calculator where you can calculate next year's taxes? Only one? Only two? Everybody else likes surprises? Okay. Well, you can't plan for surprises. I don't want you to not know what's upcoming for the next year. You can't plan for something that you don't know is going to happen. Just like the 4% increase, we couldn't plan for that because we didn't know it was coming. So I want to make sure that my communications plan, where I'm meeting you where you are,
30 seconds.
Young people on social media, my older generation on with newsletters and snail mail. I want to make sure that I communicate every single step of the way, especially since what has happened now. You need to know what's going on. You need to know that your tax dollars are secure. You need to know that your auditor is in place, and you need to know that that office is running smoothly.
I love it. I do think that will be very beneficial. Youth moderators, the question is yours now.
How will you make sure taxpayer money is spent responsibly?
Well, one of the jobs of the auditor, we overlook everybody's budgets. So that's where you would make sure money is being spent responsibly. I would like to dedicate staff to each department to make sure that they understand each line item and what goes into that line item, what could be spent, what the money can be spent on, what it can't be spent on. Every year, those items, the state changes those items. So this year, they paid for coffee. Next year, we are not allowed to buy coffee in our budgets. So we want to make sure also that nobody goes over budget. We want to make sure we don't have to go before appropriations, before the county council to ask for more money because we overspent. So I want to make sure that I have dedicated staff working with each county department to oversee their budgets to make sure their money is being spent properly and compliantly.
I love it.
working with the county council is imperative. So we have a great county council and a great finance department. I utilize them a lot, and I plan on the budget for the year. So they will let you know there's many, many funds in government. Each fund is used for something else: administrative, payroll, levy, taxes, etc. If you are familiar with what the budget is, work with the county council on what that budget can entail for the year, then you will be able to spend responsibly and you will be in compliance with state board. Because at the end of the day, that is what the auditor's office is responsible for. I think the people also need to know as well what to expect with their taxes, what to expect with their deductions. So what I would do is, and I know everybody's familiar with the BMV, it's really easy to make an appointment now. So come to the auditor's office, make an appointment online, call and make an appointment. Whatever department you need to go to, taxes, exemptions, deductions, make an appointment and come in. Ask the questions, find out what you need to know, get the help there. You have exemptions that you can apply for, wonderful. You're over 65, come on in and we'll help you with that. You have an issue with the tax bill, that's something that we can also help you with. Go into the assessor's office, a one-stop shop, a place that it's available, different departments with a supervisor
30 seconds.
over each department too is imperative. So we're all on the same page. What's going on right now is just a mass confusion. We need to get back to the basics and start training from level one, a new foundation, a new training program so we can all serve you better at the Lake County Auditor's Office. Thank you.
All right. And as we conclude, I want to talk about something that hits transparency. And I want to know, will you publicly report error rates and property assessments each year, even if it reflects poorly on your office? Why or why not?
Yes, all of that is public, Yes, all of that is public record anyway. There is a large and very, very long written out State Board of Accounts for every office in the county government. I don't know if anybody has seen that or has actively looked that up, but it's all public record, as it should be. So yes, even if it reflects, like Sandra said, we're an office that has humans working on it. There will be errors. We all make mistakes, but can we fix those mistakes? Are we dedicated to admitting what we've done wrong? And can we work on doing the right thing? Can we figure out what we need to do in the future? Can there be that extra training? Can that be that responsibility, that accountability that we're here to do better? I've said it before and I said it again. I'm asking for your vote. I should be held to a higher standard. And that's admitting when we need help, that's admitting what went wrong, and that's saying what we can do better next time for you to serve the public.
Thank you.
One more time.
Yes, ma'am. Will you publicly report error rates and property assessments each year, even if it reflects poorly on your office? Why or why not?
Well, one, property assessments is not a function of the auditor's office. Property assessments fall under the assessor's office. So any assessment errors would not reflect the auditor's office. It will reflect directly the assessor's office. That's the job of the assessor. We are like checks and balances to the assessor. We make sure that your cap rates are correct. We make sure that you have your homestead on there if it's owner occupied. That's the job of the auditor. The assessor does the assessments. The auditor does not handle the assessments, but we are a safeguard on the assessments as it relates to their tax exemptions, tax credits, things like that. That's what the auditor's office handles. And yes, if it did reflect on my office, absolutely, I would report that to you. But that's a function of the assessor and not the auditor.
Absolutely. All right, let's give it up for our candidates. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, and I ask for your vote as well as your support.
Absolutely. All right. No problem at all. All right, so we're gonna head to the heavy hitters. The heavy hitters are gonna come to the stage, all right? I'm getting ready to bring up Mr. Frank Mervin and Mrs. Levita Sparks Wade. All right. Candidates, if you please could, state your name, the office you're running for, and anything you would like for the people to know.
Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to thank councilmen at large of the city of Gary, the city that I reside in, Miles Tolliver, as well as Dr. D'Angelo. Where do you go? Dr. D'Angelo Coles. We really appreciate the efforts that you all have put into organizing this event. Well, actually these events, because this is the second one that you all have conducted. My name is Levita Sparks Wade, and I am running for U.S. Representative of the 1st Congressional District in the state of Indiana. I was born and raised in the city of Gary. I graduated from New Orleans High School with honors. I was a 3-sport letter person, volleyball, basketball, track. So you young men right here, I got an opportunity to speak to a couple of you before we started this event. Marshawn, sophomore, right? And he wants to major in political science and go to Stanford or an HBCU, which I went to, the greatest HBCU on this side of heaven, Tuskegee University. Absolutely. I earned my political science degree, my bachelor's there. I came back home and I wanted to make a difference in my community. And unfortunately, we didn't have platforms like these. We did not get an opportunity to be mentored by a young man such as Councilman Tolliver here. And I went in a different direction, working for the state of Indiana for 15 years. And I've been in and out of either nonprofit management or in the public sector, in government or in politics. Politics is a hard business, you guys. It really is. Because people will look at you, will smile in your face, will tell you that they are going to support you, and they go in that booth and they vote for somebody else. It is not easy to do this, but that should not prevent you from doing it anyway. This is the highest calling, I believe, in any type of government, is running for public office. These people over here, look. This campaign season is a grueling schedule, and it's almost over. And we are so excited. They're tired, they're ready to go. They know this is the last big platform, but they are here to serve. We are here to serve you and not the other way around. You're going to hear a little bit more about my platform, LevitaForCongress.com. You can go there right now by scanning my card, and you can see the issues that I am most concerned about. How much is my time? How much time do I have? Okay, give me a couple more seconds. Increase the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. Nobody can live off of $7.25 an hour. We don't have to go to where these young ladies just got through talking about the township board. Is that time?
Time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good evening, Congressman Frank Mervin. It's an honor to be here today. Councilman, thank you. Doctor, thank you. To the youth that are here, best to you. I'm glad you're participating, and it's an honor to be here. I'm a member of Congress. I represent Northwest Indiana. I've done it for 6 years. This is my 3rd term. I'm running for my 4th term. And ultimately, what you need to know is the secret to the job is being connected to Northwest Indiana. Everywhere in Washington, D.C., there's distractions. I was a township trustee for 15 years. The programs that you talked about as far as self-sufficiency and making sure that people can lift themselves up are things that I did for 15 years. For this community, I served the community, not through words, but through actions. And I delivered every single day at an office on Broadway. Big picture, you want to live in a safe community. I've delivered millions of dollars to law enforcement so they could use it for technology. So where policemen aren't, technologies are watching your communities. East Chicago, Gary, Hammond, Porter County, LaPorte. Those are all places I delivered. Healthcare. I've worked with council members who are in this room to make sure that St. Catherine's stays open. I delivered $1 million community-funded project that I fought 435 members to get that money so that St. Catherine's Hospital will continue to be in service. Ivy Tech, education. I was able to get another $1 million for Ivy Tech. It's called Over the Finish Line. Those are for vulnerable students in our communities who face challenges, obstacles, some sort of bill that pops up so that they can get an education and provide for their families. These are serious times. We're in a military conflict. We are in a crisis with inflation. Gas is $5. You need serious leadership. I'm on appropriations. I serve on energy and water. I'm going to talk next if there's a question about the utility bills and the cost and what I'm doing for that. And I'm also on justice, science, and commerce. That's what leads me to bring resources back to law enforcement in Northwest Indiana. So I look forward to this conversation that we have. I look as this is a job interview, and I take it very seriously. But most importantly, I want to thank you for putting it together, the youth being here, and all of you stakeholders who get to choose who's going to be your next member of Congress. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, with our first question, how will you measure whether you actually improve the lives of your constituents?
I can look in this room and see that this is probably one of the times that we have majority black and brown in this room. When I hear the complaints of constituents whose families have been ripped apart, cousins did not have the papers that they needed to stay in this country, and they were pulled apart and sent almost anywhere by this administration. They don't even care where they send you at this point. They just want to send you somewhere other than here. So when I look into the faces of people who are going through issues, to my black brothers and sisters, to my brown brothers and sisters, I am going to fight for your constitutional rights. The Supreme Court just on yesterday made a decision that gutted the Civil Rights Act of 1965. I'm going here with my congressman said absolutely nothing. I'm not going to do that. I am going to speak up for our rights. When NIPSCO comes calling, my opponent has accepted campaign donations from every single utility company in the state of Indiana. You cannot adequately or effectively advocate for regular people like you and me when corporate greed is doing what they are doing to us with our NIPSCO bills. It's gonna get better.
Time.
And I'm gonna make sure that it does.
So in this day and age, politics needs precision. You need to be honest. I absolutely I am one of the most competitive races in the nation here in Northwest Indiana. I'm in a +1 district, so I have to raise resources in order to be competitive to compete on the Chicago media market, or you're going to have a Republican member of Congress that doesn't care about any of us and follows suit what Trump is doing. To the utilities, I'm on energy and water. my opponent absolutely knows that the state and the Indiana Regulatory Commission and the governor sets the rates for utility bills. I am on the Energy and Water Appropriations Commission. My job is to make sure that we have more sources of energy so that we can lower demand and we increase supply and lower demand. If you go to my Facebook page, I went toe to toe with the Secretary of Energy, fighting with him for your utility bills that the President and the Energy Secretary put $100 million more on the ratepayers to make sure a coal-powered plant was utilized by NiSource and NIPSCO. I went toe to toe for the employees of the utility to make sure that they were recognized and they go back to the table. If you want a fighter that is serious and put in a position to do that, that's what I'm doing. What I've learned from Washington,
30
D.C.,
seconds.
it's very easy to point fingers. It's easy to say you're responsible. And as far as standing up for individuals and making sure that you have a fighter, I've done that for 6 years, and I did it for 15 years before that. I stood shoulder to shoulder with lifting families up and making sure that they had resources for LIHEAP. And not only that, I moved heaven and earth to help your families become self-sufficient. So I thank you all very much.
All right, now for our next question. When party leadership pressures you to vote one way, but it doesn't benefit this district, what would be your stance?
Ladies first.
No, not every time.
Just shift. That's a tough question. Please go ahead.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
You choose. Who goes first? I would think you would stick with the order.
Yes, we're gonna stick with the order. Well, you went first the last
That's
question.
fine, I'll take it.
Okay.
You went first, okay, I'm sorry.
So you went first. Okay, all right. So we'll say,
Question.
when party leadership pressures you to vote one way, but it doesn't benefit this district, can you tell us how you would go about that?
Sure, you vote your conscience. I consistently have voted for making sure that we create work and wealth in this district. Specifically, I have voted for, I was one of the members that made sure that just recently, we voted for making sure that we had talked about ripping families apart. And I think this is precedent over what you do with the party leadership telling you what to do. Here's what the specific thing is. We had the longest shutdown in the history of the nation, 76 days. I stood up and refused to vote for ICE funding and for the Border Patrol. So DHS, the entire nation, not just the leadership, was saying, open up make sure we get back open so that when you go to the airport, you can get through the lines. There was pressure from every level, but I stood my ground. I made sure, unless there were changes with ICE and Border Patrol, that they had body cameras, that they didn't violate our Fourth Amendment, that they didn't kick in doors and separate families, and that we removed funding so that we lifted up attention. And we did that. I just flew home when we accomplished that. We were able to say, through sticking together with those that believe that ICE is violating and tearing our country apart, that we will not fund them until they make changes, until we're able to make sure that they have body cameras, badges, names, and we know who's being hired and what their training is. We all want to live in a safe nation. We all want to make sure that we have a safe border, but most importantly, we don't want people's civil rights to be violated. And that's how I operate, and that's how I've consistently operated.
I'll repeat the question. When party leadership pressures you to vote one way, how would you go about it?
I'm always in opposition to things that are wrong. And oftentimes, you get a bad rap for that. Because when you try to stand up to the status quo, they will scandalize your name. When you speak on truth and you stand on business, They're going to try to destroy you because they have an agenda. My opponent talked about how he stood up in regards to ICE and training and whatnot. What he didn't say was that he also voted on a resolution expressing gratitude for ICE. What he also didn't say was that he voted on a resolution for honoring the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk. Now, look, none of us wants political violence, and we all denounce that. But change the title. Change the title. And this is how you hold your people accountable. You cannot let people run unopposed, or otherwise people would never know things like this. You know, the other thing, while we were sleeping this week, our congressman was one of 42 congressmen who voted
30 seconds.
to extend the authority of our president and his administration to conduct surveillance on you without a warrant. Look it up. Foreign, FISA, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, extended it because it was going to end last night. But our congressman, one of 42. Thank you very much.
For you, Mr. Mervan, what is one specific federal funding opportunity this district has missed out on, and exactly how will you be able to secure it in the future?
So, again, precision is important. She had mentioned, my opponent had mentioned that, first of all, the ICE vote and what that meant. There was, and we soon forget facts, right? Facts and precision aren't important in some cases. What had happened was there was a resolution after 2 people were burned alive in Colorado because of a memorial for anti-Semitism, because what had happened on October 6th as an international nation, in an international situation. 2 people were burned alive. The person who poured gasoline on them was captured by federal agents in ICE. There was a resolution by the Republican majority, right? Because that's what they want to do. They divide us. And so not only did they denounce anti-Semitism, and did they denounce the pouring of gasoline on 2 individuals, they also thanked all federal agencies and ICE. So put yourself in my shoes. Do you denounce violence that kills 2 innocent people after there was a global incident that thanks all federal agents and ICE? It is convenient for my opponent to say that. Charlie Kirk, what had happened? You have to go back in time. 2 people in Minnesota, state legislators, were executed with their families the week before Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is a despicable, horrible human being. But he does not, because of violence, because of what he says, get shot and killed. My job as a responsible member of Congress is to end political violence. And not only was there that going on, but at the tone of the nation, people were afraid that that was going to continue. We live in very, very delicate times, and it takes a serious member of Congress to make difficult votes and to come to opportunities like this to explain them. Because it's convenient to say those types of things, but you have to have the facts.
So I'm going to give you the question. I'm just going to rephrase it, but it is the same question. What is one specific federal funding opportunity this district has missed out on, and exactly how will you secure it within your first year?
It is expedient for us to take those kitchen conversations and bring them into these spaces. There is no excuse, none. I was on the Gary City Council for 4 years. I had to work with people who did not often agree with me. There was an opportunity, if you would call it that, for the GEO group to bring a detention center to the city of Gary. If it had not been for my opposition, we would have a GO detention center on 4th Avenue right across from the airport. But because I stood up to it, and at the time, Gary needed the money. But you have to look at yourself in the mirror after you make a vote like that and say, wait a minute, are we going to continue to lock people up? Or are we going to take a stand and say, not in my neighborhood? Opportunities for federal programs. We were writing grants prior to this administration taking office. And
30 seconds.
And when Trump took office, we were writing some environmental grants for the city of Gary, for Parks Department, for various programs to be conducted. And the Trump administration cut all funding for anything in regards to environmental issues. And when that happened, several millions of dollars. Thank you very much.
This will be our last question of the night. I think this is a very important question. We talked a little bit about it, but I would like to hear both of your views on it. How will you prove to us that you represent this district, not donors, not party leadership, and not your own political future?
So I served as a township trustee for 15 years. I was committed to the community. Environmentally, we just brought $250 million to cleaning up the Grand Calumet. So if you live in East Chicago and you want cleaner water and you want to increase your property values, you make cleanups like that. I was able to work with the Department of the Environmental Management to make sure that that happens. We're able to do that because I have delivered for Northwest Indiana. I've been able to bring millions of dollars to the police departments. I've been able to bring millions of dollars for social services, faith-based community, as far as Fairhaven, the Rape Crisis Center, $1 million. A lot of different things that we can say that we've worked together on in order to do that. And so I'm not doing it because I want to run for president of the United States. I try to be here and be present and connected to this community because I love what I do. And I know that a little adrenaline push that you get when you help people. Creating work and wealth and creating opportunities for this youth is what's driving me. We have an opportunity to be able to lay quantum fiber for the next generation for advanced manufacturing and biosciences so these young men and women can have an opportunity. And for the trades, we have an opportunity right now to be able to have a shipbuilding experience because there's a shipbuilding act that will put our trades to work, utilize our steel industry. I'm co-chair of the steel industry. As the steel industry goes in Northwest Indiana, so goes our economy. I have fought
30 seconds.
and put time into that. The other example that I have, 1, 2, 3, the third table, I forget her name, if anyone can get her attention. She gave me permission to do this. We had worked together, and she had a home for Habitat for Humanity. She had a health issue. She came to the township, we helped her. And she's able to be an entrepreneur and be self-sufficient. That's what drives me as a member of Congress, is to make sure that we create work and wealth, live in a safe community, have affordable health care, and be able to make responsible decisions and make sure that you stay connected to your district.
Thank you. I'm going to repeat the question for you, Ms. Sways. How will you prove to us that you're representing this district, not donors, not party leadership, and not your own political future?
I will not accept and have not accepted big corporation dollars nor special interest dollars. And I'm not a millionaire. My family is not embedded in politics, didn't have that foot up. What I'm doing right now, me and God, we did this. And so as a U.S. Congressperson, APAC is not going to donate to me. My opponent has accepted nearly $400,000 from an organization that pushed the United States into this Iranian war. You cannot effectively advocate for people like you and me. Most of us don't work at the steel mill. I don't know nobody who got a job at the Gary Airport. We are in a time where people are struggling to meet their day-to-day budget. And if these young people want a house, right now they're saying the first time you can buy a house is at the age of 40. Affordable housing is non-existent. I worked for an organization, United Neighborhoods, who built and renovated affordable housing. And those programs are being scrapped right now by this administration. 30 seconds. As a result, when these young people get to an opportunity, $42,000 is the median income in the city of East Chicago. You cannot afford a $150,000 house on $42,000 a year.
Time.
Thank you very much, and I would appreciate your support and your vote because I'm going to work hard for you.
All right, Navita!
Thank you. Let's give it up to both candidates. Two great individuals. The next group that we're going to bring up right now is our trustee members. So our trustee members, can you please go to the front? All right, if you could, the rules of engagement, you have 3 minutes. If you don't utilize the 3 minutes, that is okay. You will get a countdown at 1 minute, and then you will get 30 seconds left and then tie. All right, so as you could, please state your name and the office you are running for.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Selena Skiba. I'm a candidate for North Township trustee. I decided to run because I care deeply about my community. I am not a career politician. I'm just, somebody that just truly cares, and that's one of the reasons why I'm running. Currently, the trustee's office is at 2 stars, and that should be concerning to all of us. I'm looking to change that. And also, my faith has taught me, the value of serving others, and I'm here to serve you. So I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
All right. So you have next, please state your name and the office you are running for.
Yes. Hi, I'm Dr. Jess Ortiz. I'm a veteran and a doctor in economics. In the interest of time, I prepared a statement because I have a tendency to get technical. I love the technical side of things. So, with respect to your time, I prepared a statement. Just got to figure out how to work this thing. Okay. In my first correspondence, I attempted to explain my long-term vision. Subsequently, I'll explain some short-term concerns. In a nutshell, I cannot overemphasize the township mission, assist the poor. Yet, big money is being spent with fewer people receiving assistance. There before the grace of God go any of us. And there's another saying that if you teach a person to fish, I think you know the gist of that. As the only veteran and doctor of economics, I bring proven discipline and skills and
1
plan
minute.
to refocus attention to the needy as intended, without additional taxes and with continued activities. If we don't, we run the high risk of the state dissolving this township and losing all assistance. I need your trust to do it. Thank you. I'm Dr. Ortiz.
Thank you, sir. So we will start off with our first question, all right? How will you ensure fairness is received with assistance?
Well, first of all, I feel that township services should be accessible for everyone. Doesn't matter where you live, where you work. So, there was a time in my life where I was a single mom and I needed help. So, and I went to the township and they didn't really help me like I needed the help. So that's one of the reasons why I'm running, and I just want to make the township services accessible for everyone, no matter where you're from.
All right, thank you. Same question goes for you. How will you ensure fairness in who receives assistance?
By refocusing attention on the needy. I think it's been diverted into activities which are fine and great. Particularly, somebody talked about the golf course. Also, there's a lot of special events like concerts and things. My take is that is moving away from focus on the individual that needs assistance. That's anybody with an income under $1,300 a month. And in the past, when the now congressman was in charge, that number of assisted people was 2,200. Today it is 1,800, and that's by high sources that have commented on that. That needs to be reversed, and that's how to do it. We got to refocus on it, and I have the skills to do that. This is no reflection on anybody's efforts that's in any position now. It's just a matter of having those skills and trained over the years. That's it. That's good. I'll continue later.
Okay.
Next question.
All right, Mr. Ortiz, you're gonna actually answer the first question first, okay? This question is for you. If funding was cut today, what programs would you fight to protect first?
Assistance to the needy. That is number one, period. We need to focus on that totally. As I said, the events are nice, but if we're spending money on events and that's not getting back to the needy, what's the point? There are other organizations with that responsibility. We need to focus on ours.
Right. Same question. If funding was to be cut tomorrow or today, what programs would you fight to protect first?
I would want to protect the, senior programs that they currently have, and also the rental assistance, the food assistance, the NIPSCO assistance. I would try to just keep them all, because I would fight for all you. Each and every one of you, I would fight for you.
Okay. My next question for you is, how do you balance helping people in need without creating long-term dependency? So again, how do you balance helping people in need without creating long-term dependency? It's you first. How do you balance helping people in need without creating long-term dependency?
Well, I would just basically, this is my first time running, so bear with me, please.
It's fine. It's fine.
when I decided to run, you know, my brother is a councilman in the second district in Hammond, and he, he's told me that he feels that since I care so much about the community, that this would be a good position for me. So, I decided to run, and I'm learning more every day, and I just thank you for the opportunity. And like I said, I'm committed to fight every day, to work hard, and to just help the people that need help for the accessibility and everything. So,
Thank you so much. For you, Mr. Ortiz, how do you help? How do you balance helping people in need without creating long-term dependency?
Training. We're on the verge, we're on the cusp of emerging technologies. Here I go, technically, I don't overdo it, but there are three critical areas that are being discussed, and billions of dollars are being invested in anticipation of trillions in a surging market. We have to be pioneers. We have to go after that money like it's ours, because it is, and we need it. Because the tree, the great oak tree, the leaves at the top only get beautiful if the root at the bottom is well nourished. And that's what I intend to do. I think we have a hidden resource here that has not been attended to. And we need training. And today's typist is going to be tomorrow's engineers. Technology is not something to be feared. The industrial revolution, every revolution in history has led to more jobs, not less, but you have to be trained to do it. The congressman mentioned the lady here that rolls that way. We're not doing that anymore. I don't know of any cases that have focused on training.
All right. So my next one for you is, what is your plan to reach residents who do not know that these services exist? Again, how would you reach residents that do not know what services exist in the trustee's office?
well, I think it would be a good idea for us to go to them, not for them to always come into the office. I could collaborate with food banks, churches, and we go to the residents and let them know what we offer, and if they need our help, and we're here for them. So that's what I would do.
All right, Mr. Ortiz.
Yes, that's a good question. There are some, I mentioned some 20 or 1,800 people currently being served. There's 13,000 that are not getting any assistance and have been waiting in line for years. We have to catalog that. We have to find out who they are and reach out to them if they're lost. I don't know what else I can say, but that's it. I got a catalog. I don't know to what extent that is cataloged, but that will be a top priority, finding out who they are, getting phone numbers, getting on the horn. I'm a telemarketer. I was part of a group at AT&T that began telemarketing back in 1974 when I began my training in computers and fiber optics and what they call artificial intelligence. I prefer to call intelligent assistant, because it's a great marketing thing, the AI, but it's misleading and has people it's a tendency for people to be afraid of it, like it's going to be smarter. It's not going to be smarter than us. It's going to make us smarter, and we need that. And again, I get back to the bottom, because you never know where genius comes from, and we're going to need all the geniuses we can muster.
I love that. I love that. I love that. We're going to go to our youth moderators. Youth moderators, if you could please answer the question. Ask them a question, rather.
What programs will you push for to improve? What programs will you push for to improve neighborhoods?
Well, I don't know about what programs, but I know I would want to do a newsletter, so to let the residents know what's going on at the township, update the website as much as possible, the Facebook page, all that. Thank you.
All right. Yep. Question for you. Can you please repeat the question?
What programs will you push for to improve neighborhoods?
A lot of that depends on what I see when I go in. First thing I gotta do is address any immediate concerns, and obstacles and things like that. Basically, we need money. There's no question, whatever we do, 13,000 people, $8 million in a budget is not gonna handle. But things do need to be investigated. For example, $154,000 salary for a trustee seems to me a bit exorbitant. On an $8 million budget, that's $2 on every $100, and that's more than a mayor makes. And they have a responsibility of generating revenue. We don't. We need our focus should be on getting as much of those funds to those in need and improving communications through new technologies, setting up programs that will do that. But we have to secure additional funding to do that. And that's not being done, and that's the thing that I am trained to do as an account executive with
1
AT&T
minute.
for 20 years. My job was to generate new revenue, and I think that's a very handy skill at this time.
All right, this will be our last question for you two. I would like to ask you, why vote for you on election day?
You should vote for me because I care deeply about my community, and I will fight hard for each and every one of you. So if I can get your vote, I would really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right, you, Mr. Ortiz.
I have the skills, I have the discipline, I have a plan to start from the grassroots and build up, and that's come from experience. I have to applaud my parents. Between them, they raised 11 kids on less than $13,000 a year. I don't know how they did it, and I managed to get through college and my master's degree, my bachelor's degree, my doctorate degree. Took me 7 years to get the doctorate degree, 2 years of courses, and 5 years of writing my dissertation. But I learned a lot along the journey, and I'd like to apply some of that.
All right, let's give it up for our candidates, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So for our treasury, for the treasurer for the Lake County Treasurer's Office, we only have one candidate here. So we're going to give him the opportunity to speak. We're going to allot him 5 minutes to say his platform and why vote for him on election day.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Emanuel, and I am your candidate for Lake County Treasurer. Just a little bit of background for those who don't know who I am. I've spent 25 years as a retail banker. Currently, I'm a community development executive banker, which basically means that I make sure that my financial institution invests back into communities like East Chicago, Gary, and Hammond, low-to-income, moderate census tracts, to make sure that we're just not taking deposits out of communities, but we're investing back in those communities. So if individuals need mortgages or access to capital, or entrepreneurs want to invest in their businesses and grow to scale, I make sure that institutions respect those needs and invest back in those communities. I'm also adjunct professor. I got my education, my organization and business management degree, my bachelor's from Calumet College of St. Joseph. I achieved my MBA from Indiana University Northwest. I've been looking to take those skills and transfer them over to the Treasurer's Office. We've heard quite a bit this evening. We've heard confusion, and we've heard we need more transparency. We've heard that we need to be more efficient. I'm going to just be outright and say that there's a culture of corruption that clouds the offices there at Lake County for the treasurer and the auditor's office. For the past 30 years, there has been a game of political musical chairs that's been played. And we're the losers. We're absolutely the losers. Just yesterday, it became public record that there is a convicted felon that is working at the treasurer's office as a tax clerk. Some of the most sensitive information in the county is being managed by an individual who's been convicted of financial crimes. So this is not something that Anthony Emanuel came up with. This is actually public record. You can go on the gateway for the county's employees and find this individual's name, and he's actually actively working for the county right now. You can go to the Federal Bureau of Prisons website and you can see the charges and you can see his conviction online. The bank has a principle that we call safety and soundness. Safety and soundness principle. I want to know how you guys feel about that. I want you guys to reach out to the current incumbent treasurer and ask him and do your research to find out if these things are indeed true, because I verified them as they are public record.
Thank you. And Mr. Manuel, truly appreciate that. I want to dive deep in real quick. Why vote for you on election day? Well, because I look at these gentlemen that are sitting right here, and I am them. Councilman Tolliver, I'm you. And that's why I ask for your vote. I spend the majority of my time fighting for low to moderate income communities. I spend the majority of my time fighting for entrepreneurs who are operating startup businesses. So I know what that fight looks like. And I know that it benefits not just those areas, but the tide rises, the entire county rises. As East Chicago does better, and Gary does better, Maryville does better, Crown Point does better, St. John does better. That's something that we all need to take to heart. That as our county, if we're going to be successful in this county, we have to do it as well. I love that, I love that, I love it. If there's anything else for your platform that you would like to state, Mr. Manuel, before we go? Well, I'll be very brief. I know because we have more candidates coming up. Again, I want to rid the county's treasurer's office of the culture of corruption. I want to add the science of compliance back to that office. I believe that it's the one of the most important offices that we have. It's the highest office in the county that manages the finances. I believe that the tax sale, the way it's been infiltrated by fraudsters, there was an incident, I'll just tell you this very, very briefly. There was an incident where the tax sale was actually being infiltrated by fraudsters. Our treasurer now was the auditor at that time, and he had supervision over the registration desk. This particular individual owed $208,000 of delinquent late property taxes, and he was able to infiltrate the tax sale and actually bid on hundreds of Gary properties. As a result, a church was lost. As a result, a homeless shelter was lost. These entities had to pay thousands of dollars in order to redeem their properties off the tax sale to get them back because of this fraudulent investor. So I want to rid our county treasurer's office of that kind of corruption. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming this morning. If I could, I know our host is around here somewhere. We wanted to bring up our sheriff candidates now. I know it's getting kind of late. But as they do come up, I want to shout out all the vendors that are here in the building. They've been doing a great job. I want to thank them for coming out. I hope that you all are supporting Community First. It's a community event, so we want to make sure that we are supporting our own people at all times. All right? All right, we falling asleep out there a little bit, huh, y'all? A little bit. All right, well, it's time to wake y'all up. Host, if you want to shout out our vendors again, publicly?
Okay, we'd like to give a shout out to our vendors who attended this lovely event put on by Mr. Tolliver and Mr. Coles. Queens Health Healing, Wanna Pickle, Cruz Palace, Paparazzi Jewelry, He Loves Shea Butter, and Royal Roots Design. Thank you, and I am your host, Mike Castillo.
Let's give it up for our host, y'all. We gotta give it up for our host, man.
Thank you.
Brother looking very dapper today also, y'all. So I think that this is a very, very important race, you all. This is a position that should not be taken lightly. This is a position that we really need to talk about, and I want us to be all in and truthful about why we should choose you all to be our next Lake County Sheriff. We know the problems that have existed. We know the talk that's going around. I want to know why should we choose you all to be our Lake County Sheriff? So before we get to that, I want you guys to introduce yourself and tell us again, why are you running? All right? We'll start with you, Mr. Flores, and then we'll go straight down, okay?
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Stephen Flores. Thank you for having us, and thanks for hosting us. I'm a candidate for Lake County Sheriff. I'm the police chief in St. John. I'm a 25-year law enforcement veteran, and I've been the chief last 7 years in St. John. I spent 23 years there and a couple of years at the Sheriff's Department. Growing up as a young kid, I grew up here in East Chicago. My folks raised us here. My dad was a two-time police chief here in the city of East Chicago. My cousin Sam was a police officer, and my Uncle Ralph were also police officers here. So I grew up in a law enforcement family my entire life. This is all I've ever wanted to do, was be a police officer and be a public servant. This is in my blood. This is what I was born to do and raised to do. And growing up in that environment has prepared me for where I'm at today. It has played a crucial role where I'm at today. As a police officer, I rose up through the ranks as a patrol officer, a canine handler, and I was also a detective. During that time, my time as a police officer in the beginning, I was also a volunteer firefighter for 14 years, and I was the assistant fire chief for the Lake Hills Volunteer Fire Department. So I wore two hats at one time, and I was a public servant and did police and fire. So I was fortunate enough to have that experience and be able to do that. As a police chief, and the law enforcement career that I have has prepared me where I'm at today. Like I said, sit on several law enforcement executive boards for our SWAT team, our crash team, our vice president, Indiana Association of Chiefs of Police. And I think the experience and the relationships that I've had has given me the opportunity to be where I'm at today. As a police chief, or as your next sheriff, I'm going to make sure that we get in there and evaluate the entire department, from the jail to the animal control to the police department. We're going to do a full evaluation and make sure that we make improvements in every single one of those three that I just talked about. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and the relationships that I've established throughout this county, throughout this state, gives me the opportunity to get in there and start, hit the ground running on day one, because I have the relationships needed to get things done. I go downstate all the time and testify on bills, to advocate for law enforcement and for the people as well, too. So I work with legislators down there in my role as vice president of the Indiana Association of Chiefs of Police. So we're going to be aggressive on crime. We're going to stay aggressive on crime. We're going to be out there. We're going to hold town halls. We're going to build bridges between us and the public and our youth. So we're going to be tangible. We're going to be visible. We're going to make sure that people know what's going on. We're going to be held accountable. We're going to be tough on crime. One big thing I'm big on is mental health, and making sure that we're trained and respond to those incidents properly. And our officers are trained as well, too, and I want to expand in that program. So there's a lot of information, www.floresforsheriff.com, my platform, and I ask for your support. And thank you very much again for having us, and I hope to share some more about myself tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
Good evening. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for being attentive and being participative. I thank you guys. I am here to ask for your support. My name is Deputy Chief Edward G. Jenkins. I am an employee of the Lake County Sheriff's Department for just short of 30 years. In my 30 years, I've worked as a correction officer. I got hired on the police department, became a patrolman, sergeant, lieutenant, and for the past 9 years, I'm your deputy chief. So, in my career, what have I done? I've worked every crime from Every city and every town in Lake County. I've worked from the lake to the river, from the state line to the county line for just about 30 years. I've worked homicides, police-involved shootings. There is not one city or town in Lake County I have not been a police officer in. Not one. So in my opinion, there's not a candidate here more qualified than I am. So you ask me, well, what does the Jenkins administration look like? What will you do? Number one, our jail needs to be repaired. We currently budgeted for 222 correction officers. We sit at 150. That's greatly low. When we have a female correction officer who worked 130 consecutive 16-hour shifts, that's unacceptable. We will definitely maintain a no-kill animal shelter, but I'll take it a step further. We'll have an animal abuse registry where if you abuse an animal, you don't get another animal. We will help people who have mental illness. Because you suffer from mental illness does not make you a criminal. We'll also fight our fentanyl and opiate epidemic and make sure that our Lake County residents get back into our community and become productive citizens. I've also started a no bullying campaign. Well, why is a no bullying campaign, why is it valid? Well, recently in Lake County, we found out that there were kids who were being bullied to the point they committed suicide. So my remedy for that is what we'll do is we'll have a 1-800 number hotline where these children or families can call into our police station, be hooked up with a qualified mental health professional, and they'll work with the schools, the families, and make sure that these children are heard. These are all things that I want to do especially as far as uniting Lake County from the lake to the river. Make sure all citizens are treated well and ensure that we make Lake County the best county in Indiana all the way across. So I ask you for your support. Please support Edward G. Jenkins for sheriff, and I thank you for your time.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Maria Garcia Shrajkovic, and I also have short of a little 30 years on the department. First of all, thank you all for being here tonight. I got a little chilly in here, so I'm shaking. I'm not nervous. I just got chilly. I began in jail records. I was a single mom raising 4 children by myself, and I was in jail records. I was offered the job, and I took it. 27 years later, here I am. I began my career in patrol. For patrol, I went for Special Victims Unit. For Special Victims Unit, I went to the Drug Task Force, worked a little bit with GRIT, which is a federal agency, did a lot of undercover work with them also. I also worked for transportation, where I still also do for overtime. I transport prisoners. I'm also worked in 911 dispatch. I've worked in property management, where I was in charge of the officers' needs, their equipment, their uniforms. Everything from guns to ammo to the fleet to fuel to what the sheriff's needs were in reference to locks and the infrastructure of the building and the jail. I also worked in the Gary Civil units, Gary, Hammond, East Chicago, and Crum Point. Where I'm currently assigned is Gary, where I manage evictions, replevins, and protective orders. I am the person with another officer, not a troop, not shields, not helmets, where we pull the bad guy out, because he is a threat to the family. That's what I do. Now, through all of these divisions that I've worked in, I've certifications. I've put people in prison. I've put people out from burning cars. There's a lot of things that I've done. What do I want to do as the sheriff? My first 100 days as the sheriff, I'd like to do an audit of the whole department. I want to know where the money's at. Medical, commissary, the sheriff's budget all around. I want to know where the money's at, where it's going, and how it's allocated. I then want to do an assessment of all the officers of the department and the correction officers to make sure to see that now I don't have big money coming into my campaign. I will be running the department with the officers. So I will find out the opportunities that they've missed, and I'll make sure across the board that I am that leader for them to give them the opportunities to be in positions, because they're not funding my campaign, because they didn't support me, but because they're good people that belong in good positions. I also would change the command staff and make sure that officers get that opportunity to work there. Mental illness, I'll make sure that myself, along with the officers, are tested for mental illness. I'll make sure that we work with autism. I'll make sure we work with the elderly, the vulnerable. Children's programs, we'll have DARE. The other one, the feeder program, the Explorers. I'll make sure that I have a sheriff's night out, which we never have. I'll make sure that I'm out there talking with the community and talking with young people and making sure that I am that vision and I am that person that supports you, because I am the community. And what I want to do most importantly here is make sure that you feel safe in your home, because that's what it's about. I am not looking to build a world-class department. I just want to have it here so we're safe and we're well-equipped mentally and physically, and we're there for you, and we earn your respect back. Rebuild, restore our integrity, and reform the infrastructure in the jail, and to make sure that everybody's safe. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jack Sanchez. I'm a Special Operations Response Team member within the Lake County Jail. I work 16-hour days, mandated 16-hour days, all day, every day. You don't walk into that building and walk out on time, okay? And the reason I'm running for sheriff is because the good men and women who work in that building asked me to do it, because we sat around and we looked and we said, who's going to come in here and get this job done? I like to hear people saying they've got a 100-day plan. Nobody talked about that jail. Nobody talked about the animal shelter till I got involved in this race. I have the 100-day action plan to fix the jail. I know exactly what's going on within that facility. I know housekeeping all the way up to the administration. I know the good guys. I know the bad guys. And I'm going to get the job done. That's why I'm here. I'm not a politician. I'm putting purpose over politics. I am self-funded. I don't take money from wise guys. I haven't let a bank get robbed. I'm not currently in charge and failing the facility and directly responsible for the situation we're in right now. And I certainly don't have any videos going around on the internet of me drinking and driving. And if I did, I wouldn't have the audacity to stand up here on this stage and try to run for sheriff. You want to talk about integrity? Let's have some integrity. There are two men in this Democratic race right now. It's a two-man race. That's Jack Sanchez for sheriff, and that's Major Jerry Williams, who isn't here tonight. Those are your two options. Everybody else should have the integrity and know they don't deserve the office. This is the Lake County Sheriff's Department. I'm sorry to say that, but if those allegations are true, that's horrendous. It's a slap in the face of the good men and women who wear that badge, and you need to look into it. The people making those allegations, they took money from those wise guys, so they should know. Everybody needs to do their homework. There's too much at stake. We cannot have uneducated voters voting us into the exact same situation again and again. That's the definition of insanity. Jack Sanchez is the change. I am something different. I am here to get the job done. I am a true public servant. And that's what I'm about. That's what my pledge to the animal shelter is about. I know how to fix that shelter. Thank you.
All right. We get back to old Lake County politics, ain't we all?
It's true.
All right, all right. So, first question. How will how will you build trust in communities that feel over-policed and under-protected? We will start with Mr. Sanchez at the end and come back down.
One more time.
How will you build trust in communities that feel over-policed or under-protected?
Correct. So how do we build trust? We got to do our jobs again. We serve and protect. We go back. We can no longer neglect the primary duties of this office. That's maintaining the county jail, that's protecting the courts, and that is policing the unincorporated areas of Lake County. We can assist. How do we rebuild trust? Every officer wears a body camera. As a certified training officer, I take this very seriously. When people get brought to our back doors, I look them in the eye and treat them with respect, because we're a county jail. Everyone is to be considered innocent until proven guilty, okay? So when they come in, we're to assume their innocence until they're proven guilty. And I train my officers to conduct themselves as professionals like that way. It doesn't matter if you're talking to a judge or the dude in the back door. You treat him with respect, you look him in the eye, and you be a man every day. And as a leader, I will set the example, and those youth will know they can trust us again. But I'll tell you how we don't have them trust us. That's by electing the same insider politics that we've had for too many decades in this office. And we already have allegations. We're not even through the primary yet, and these allegations are horrendous, and it's disrespectful to every man and woman who wears the badge. Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
sticking with the program, I am a police officer. I've answered calls. I've worked the streets. I've taken reports. I've seen people take their last breath. I've seen babies born. I've pulled kids from fire. I've done that because I work the road. I'm a police officer for 27 years in different units. And how do you earn respect? You do that by being the leader, backing your men, giving them training, and earning that respect back. There are things, yes, that are going on that have to be curbed and have to be corrected. We cannot racial profile. It's easy picking, cherry picking in certain areas where we concentrate and we patrol. For those of you who have police experience, you know that. So what you do is you make sure that these officers have adequate training where they know how to respond to calls, that they have the right tools, that they're mentally, physically fit, and the training to speak to people in reference to elderly, autism, dementia, things of that nature. Or when you go out, how you speak to people, to the community. You can go into a convenience store with your uniform. I encourage that. Because people want to see that. People want to know they're safe. And that's what you do. And that's how good patrolling. Yes, our responsibilities are unincorporated, but many times we help our municipalities that are in Lake County because they ask for our help. Or we're out there doing wolf packs or blitzes, and that's how we engage with other municipalities and with the feds and through these different units that we have. But it's good training, it's the tools, it's making sure your officers are where they're at, what they're doing, and that they're doing it correctly and staying on it. That's a leader. And letting them know that you have their back. We have to be accountable. I will be 100% accountable. And the nonsense of blemishing Lake County, I'm sorry. If there are things going on, we are not the only county that have issues. And right now, we're not going to stand up here and show our butts. We're going to stand up here and tell you what we're going to do and how we're going to clean it up. That's what we're here for, and that's how we get your respect back. By speaking to the public correctly and getting their feedback and letting us know what the problems are. That way we can direct our resources, our good policing to those areas and those people.
Thank you.
I think the term used was over-policed and underprotected, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's by being tangible and being present in the community, by working with the community, by being the community. As your sheriff, I believe our police officers should treat everybody, and I think I said in my opening statement, everybody with dignity and respect. Doesn't matter whether you live in Schneider, doesn't matter whether you live in Lowell, doesn't matter whether you live in Black Oak, Gary, Lowell, St. John, Dyer. Just making sure that all of our citizens are treated with the respect they deserve and by being present. Because a person may suffer socioeconomically does not mean they need to be over-policed. But they need to be protected just like the people in the more affluent areas. So as your sheriff, when you have that mentality and you know you're present and you're tangible and you're in the community and you become part of the community, you will ensure that all citizens of Lake County are treated well and treated equally. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it's a great question, and it's something. It's a simple answer. It's being in the community, being seen, and being tangible, and being out there and being with the community itself. Making sure that as police officers that we set an example for our youth, for our people that we serve. We put our pants on just like everybody else does, and we have to make sure that we know and our people know that we're human, that we interact with you, and we build trust and relationships. So some of the things that I do now currently as the police chief, we have the police data initiative on our website for the town of St. John, which shows all of our statistics, what we're doing, arrests, traffic stops, whether a person is white, black, Hispanic, male, female, whatever. So it's transparency and accountability so our people can see what we're doing every single day. I talked about getting out in the community and making sure that we're there and having town hall meetings and building those relationships and building that trust and being out there. As a police chief now, I don't lead from behind a desk. I still suit up. I still get out there. I stop cars. I make arrests. I do take reports. I do crash reports. So I'm out there working with the officers quite a bit. And I think it's important for me to do that and keep continuing to do that as your next sheriff. So that way I know what's going on the street. I interact with the community, so not only does it give me a better opportunity to make good decisions for our department,
30 seconds.
But for the community as well, too. So being out there, being seen, being with the officers, earning the respect of the public, and making sure that we build those relationships and build those gaps like we are today, we're going to continue doing that. The town of St. John is ranked second safest town and city in the state of Indiana. That's because we rely on our public to make sure that they work with us and we have a good relationship and it works. And I want to make sure that we bring that to this county and make Lake County one of the safest counties in the country. And that, we only can do that by relying on our people and relying on the public, and we're going to continue doing that.
Thank you. If you could please stand. The question I have for you is, what does accountability look like when an officer makes a serious mistake?
You own it and you don't hide from it. It happens. Unfortunately, every single police department across this country, you have issues that come up. No one's perfect. We all make mistakes, and we've had them in St. John, but it's being accountable and making sure that they own it, you deal with it accordingly, and that it's not being swept under the rug, and you're being transparent as you possibly can. It's holding people accountable and making sure that people know what's going on. You communicate with them the best you can, because sometimes you can't. If there's some kind of an investigation going on, there's only bits of information that you're able to share at that time. Once the case is over and closed, then that's when you share the information that's out there people may be requesting. But again, it's communication, being transparent, and making sure that people understand the process, and making sure you educate them on what needs to be done, what can't be done, because there are certain rules and regulations and laws that we have to follow. And as long as the people understand that and you communicate it with them and making sure you're ahead of it and at the forefront of it, it goes a long way. And we're going to continue to do that.
Thank you.
Definitely by being open and transparent, accepting your error, being open about it. I think trying to hide when you make a mistake makes it worse. I think the worst thing you can do is lose your integrity. So when an officer messes up, or a person of the administration messes up, or a sheriff messes up, the best thing you can do is own it, promise to fix it, and do it better. Make sure that the public is aware at an appropriate time when everything is done. Make sure the public is aware, be open and honest, and say, officer such and such screwed up, I screwed up, whatever it is. But by being a leader, I think it's more important for you to be open and honest and transparent than when you screw up. Not just hold your officers to a standard, but as sheriff, I think you should hold yourself to a higher standard. That if you make an error, to own it, accept it, and promise to do better. And communicate it to the public and make sure we don't try to hide anything and be very transparent in everything we do. Thank you.
It's to be accountable, and at the top, being accountable for yourself and your officers. In my 27 years on the department, that has not been the case. As I said before, if you pour into a campaign, or if you support someone, that you are the people probably that aren't going to be hardly or harshly disciplined as other people, which is going on currently. There are those that get punished. There are those that aren't. There are those that get chastised and flat in the newspaper, and there are those that don't. As it was spoken before about bullying, this has been going on forever, also on the department. And how are you accountable for that? By making sure, being firm but fair. And through my years on the department, I've been accountable. And I was a corporal. I had a little bit of rank. And what I did was I made sure I was firm and fair. Because I believe across the board, right is right, wrong is wrong. Therefore, we should be all treated equally with disciplinary action, with some of the information as was spoken before. It's sensitive information, and if it's an investigation, we can't release all the information. But whatever we can, we will share with the public. We're not there to shame anybody. We're there to inform. We're there to protect and to serve and to be transparent, which is a word I dislike because that word is always used loosely. But in order to be clear with the community is to let them know, yes, we have a problem going on right now.
30 seconds.
With that, that's how I would treat the disciplinary action fair across the board, along with myself, and to be accountable for what's going on and make sure that that person is also accountable and that that situation at hand is dealt with fairly.
Thank you.
Accountability was the question.
The question was, I believe the question that we had was accountability, but when an officer makes a serious mistake, how will you, what would you do for that?
Thank you. So that starts as being the leader. It starts as showing up to work every day, and it's holding our officers to a higher standard. As a certified training officer, that's something I believe in, okay? And as the sheriff, our values will be made very clear to every officer working in every department, okay? We'll have a certain standard. They violate that standard, there will be swift disciplinary action, and it will be across the board, and it will be fair for everybody, okay? Another part of that is protecting those officers. We cannot make those officers work 100 plus 16-hour shifts and expect they're not going to make a mistake in a high-stress environment that these officers are in every single day. Okay, that comes down to being a good leader. You got to protect your men and women out there. You got to know they're humans with a life. They're not just robots. You can't grind them out and then when they overreact, have a heavy foot on them. Okay, there has to be checks and balances. It's a multifaceted thing. And, you know, integrity, transparency, those should be real words. Those should be words that we all live by, especially as the sheriff. So when I'm in charge, if we're not doing right, I'm going to hold myself accountable, and I will come up and I will apologize. I'm not going to run for sheriff, pretend like I'm not in charge and like I can't stop it. I'm not going to get up here and casually say how many days an officer works 16-hour shifts when I don't do that and I walk out of that building every day.
30 seconds.
Sorry. Thank you.
All right. We're gonna head to one of our youth moderators. You're now on the clock.
How will you make sure we're treated with respect and not suspicion?
We're gonna start with you, Mr. Flores, so we went that way. Can you repeat it one more time, please?
Yes. How will you make sure we're treated with respect and not suspicion?
It's a great question. When we take an oath to be police officers, we swore to protect and serve everybody, whether it's race, color, gender, it doesn't matter. And I want to make sure, because I make sure that our officers are held accountable and they treat people with compassion and professionalism. That's what I expect out of my officers, and I want to make sure that that trickles down to everybody under me. Being a police officer, you're a public servant, and you have to treat it that way. You have to make sure that when you take this job, you're taking it for the right reasons. And that when you have people out there, whether they're white, black, Hispanic, whatever the case may be, that doesn't matter. Your forefront and what you need to do is make sure that you're doing the job correctly and doing it right and protecting your rights and your civil rights. So to me, it's very simple. You treat everybody like you want to be treated. You treat everybody like you want your parents to be treated, your grandmother to be treated, your grandfather, whatever the case may be. But building those relationships and building those gaps between us and the youth and us and the community helps that out. Your very question there. And we want to make sure that when we're out there doing our jobs, that the people know that we are here for you and vice versa. And that's why we're here, to serve the people, to protect the people, not to make sure you're
30 seconds.
Yeah, not to over police, not to make you feel that you're suspicious because of whatever race or color you are. We're here to serve, and that's what we're going to do and continue doing that.
If you could, please repeat the question for the candidate.
How will you make sure we're treated with respect and not suspicion?
Very good question. First of all, I know what it feels like to be treated suspiciously. I know what that feels like. So as being the sheriff of an agency, as being the Lake County Sheriff, I would make sure that all of our youth or seniors or whomever it may be, doesn't matter what area you are in, that people are protected and not treated suspiciously for what they look like. That's not a good feeling. I know what it's like to go in the store and have people looking at you funny and following you around the store. Believe me, I know what that feels like. It helps when you understand what you're saying, because I've been there. So as sheriff, I believe what I feel will translate through the agency, and we will make sure, and it will be emphasized to our officers to make sure that every Lake County citizen is treated with dignity and respect. And I'll make sure, just because you're a young person, doesn't matter whether you're black, white, Hispanic, whatever, does not make you a criminal, does not make you suspicious. Doesn't matter whether you have braids in your hair or tattoos, does not make you a criminal. everybody will be treated with respect.
You know, there's your side, there's my side, and there's my camera. And that's how we're accountable. Because if there is a problem and there is some sort of discrimination or complaint, we review the cameras. That's the supervisor's job. And that's when it'll start to go up the chain of command if there has been a violation of somebody's civil rights. Because I believe that's what it's coming to. That's all through ethics. That's all through training. That's all through maintaining a good department and talking to your officers and make sure that the stops that they make, that the encounters with the public and the community, that they are legit and they are respectful. Because the respect that I'm giving, I expect back. But every call we have, every phone call at 911 is urgency, is an emergency. So we have to treat those with such and know that you're at 10. And we don't want to be at 10 with you. We're there to de-escalate. We're not to get there and judge. We're there to find out, to assess the problem, to speak to you, and to make sure that we get the information we need. And we get that all through training. And we get that, as I said before, by interacting with the community. So they're more familiar with us and we're more familiar with the community. And we get that through training. I'm sorry, I'm still cold. Extensive training with our officers. And also, like, as I said before, with the camera, because the reports that the officers write, they have to articulate and make sure that they match the movie. So that's how I would make sure that I was handling the problem, if there were a problem or a complaint.
So under the Sanchez administration, comes down to training. You heard them say that. We need to train the officers, and it goes a little deeper than that. It comes down to our hiring process. We need to vet the people that we are hiring, see where they're coming from, why they want to get into law enforcement, and what type of character they have, because that's important. Because under the Sanchez administration, we're going to serve and protect. We're not going to be out there writing tickets. No, we're going to be law enforcement officers that the children can look up to, the youth can look up to, and they're going to say, you know what, that's a pretty cool gig. Officer Sanchez is a cool dude. I want to be like him growing up, not like the bums down the street, okay? And we're not going to have our officers necessarily, we're going to have our officers trained, and they're not going to profile, if you'll say, they're going to get to the root of the cause, they're going to serve and protect. And that's what it's about, and it's about hiring. We don't do that very good right now, especially in the jail. We don't know how to hire. But as the Sanchez administration, as the sheriff, I'll continue to work 16-hour days like I do right now, and I will look at everything, every incident, and I will determine what is right, what is wrong, and what needs to be done. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We're going to continue on with our youth questions. Youth question number 2.
So my question, as me wanting to be a part of law enforcement, what would you say to someone my age who feel judged or targeted before doing anything wrong?
Again, we're going to repeat that. We're going to start with Mr. Sanchez over there.
So again, what would you say to someone my age who feels judged or targeted before doing anything wrong?
Well, that's unfortunate, and it's sad that certain individuals would feel that way. I'm not sure exactly what I would say, but I would encourage you to pursue law enforcement if that's what you're interested in. Pursue whatever you're interested in, no matter what other people who are judging you or anything like that. The Lake County Sheriff's Department will welcome you with open arms, And, but right now, our department is nowhere for, I've heard some of these candidates talk about bringing the youth into the jail to get our numbers up, to get them interested. Our facility's not there right now. Children have no business coming into that facility. It's dangerous. It's a constitutional crisis. People are suffering in that building on both sides of the bars, and it's not okay. And I appreciate your questions, but I need to hit my own agendas here tonight to make sure that the undecided voters know what's really going on in there. So absolutely, when you're 18, we're going to have a program. You could get involved. But before then, no. You know, not too long ago, I was walking that jail and we had a group of kids from the Hammond Area Career Center. They ran up to me and another officer during court movement and said, "This guy's hanging himself over there." Okay? These were young, underage girls in our facility watching a man completely nude hang himself. They can't unsee that. That's the kind of stuff that's happening in that jail, and it's not okay. And that's why I decided to run. Thank you.
Please repeat the question for the candidate.
I know what the question is. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Well, first of all, we're gonna have a conversation, because I wanna know what that trigger is. Obviously, something's happened, and I'm not a psychologist, not trying to be one, but I am an officer who has training in that field. So what I would do is have a conversation with you, because I'd like to know, is this something happening at school? Is this something happening at home? Did you have a bad encounter with an officer? Because a lot of things, and that's anybody, and aside from police work, if something just doesn't hit you right, and you're feeling not real good, or a moment of uneasy or scared, that's because something has happened. Something has happened in your life where it triggers you. And that happens with the youth a lot, because maybe something's going on at home. Maybe it's not good at home and he's triggered. I've been working with kids my whole life. I was a single mom for 20 years. I raised 4 kids. I worked at a high school for 8 years in the counselor's office. I was a guidance secretary. So I talked to kids all the time. So I was familiar when they came in, and I could tell if something was wrong. But I think having a conversation first and letting you get comfortable with me and engaging with you in reference to what was going on and why you feel that way, then we can have a conversation. And maybe this isn't the right field for you. Maybe do something first, and then you can decide to come here. But making a big decision like that, yeah, we need to sit down and have a conversation.
Thank you.
Repeat that question one more time.
So the question is, what would you say to someone my age who feel judged or targeted before doing anything wrong?
And you have a potential career in law enforcement, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that's what the question was. Number one, I would tell you pursue your dreams. And I do know, once again, I've said before, I know what it feels like to be targeted. I'll give you an example. For years, I worked at a community hospital. I'm a police officer. I had a personal vehicle. I'm leaving community hospital. I'm driving through Munster. Munster cop passes me. He can only see me from the neck up. Passes behind me, pulls me over, walks up to my car, and his exact words to me when he saw me sitting in uniform is, "Oh, I thought I had something good." And turned around, got back in his car and left. That's a horrible experience. That scars you because you remember that. So the point being is, what I would say to you is, if you truly have a dream to be a law enforcement officer, whether you're targeted or not, I mean, as far as me being the sheriff, I will not tolerate that. But what I would tell you to do is pursue your dreams, ignore the ignorance, and follow your heart. Thank you.
He said it pretty well. You have to follow your heart, follow your dreams. Be proud of who you are and what you are, no matter what. There's good police officers in this country, and the majority of the police officers in this country do it for the right reason, and they care, genuinely. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there's not bad police officers out there, because there are, just like there is in every single profession. But 99% of us are out there to do the right thing for the right reasons, and we want to make sure that you feel comfortable and that you're not targeted. And if you are, that's an issue. I understand where you're coming from, and it shouldn't be that way. But like I said, be proud of who you are, what your roots were, and if you have that dream, follow that dream, okay? And I'll give you an example. My dad came here from Puerto Rico, didn't speak a lick of English when he came here. And he came to his first time he went to school, he was chewing a piece of gum, and his teacher was trying to tell him to spit it out. Well, he didn't know what she was saying. So she came up to him in front of the whole class, drug him by the ear to this trash can and was hitting him in the back of the head, trying to get him to spit his gum out. Finally, he figured out what was wrong, and all the kids were laughing at him. So he went back to his chair, started crying, and said, "One day I will speak better English than she is." And he was the first Puerto Rican police chief in the United States of America. So if that's not being targeted, I don't know what is. So fulfill your dreams just like he did and just like I did, and growing up and being who you are, be proud of what you are, and don't let that stop you.
All right. So we wanted to do something different for the sheriff candidates. These are going to be scenario questions. These scenario questions, I will give you the scenario, then I will ask you the question. Each candidate will have one different scenario in question. All right? We will start first. I believe we started with Mr. Sanchez at the end, the first one. So we'll start with you, Mr. Flores. This is your scenario. This is going to be a domestic dispute call. Deputies respond to a heated argument at a home. No one is physically hurt, but emotions are high and the situation could go either way. This is your question. Under your leadership, how will deputies be trained to de-escalate and avoid turning tense situations into arrests that may not be necessary?
No, it's a great question, and we get those situations almost every single day. As a police officer, your job is to go there, figure out what happened, and make sure you de-escalate the situation. It all stems from training. You have to make sure that the officers are trained properly to respond to those situations. Most of the time that we go to these situations, it's just a heated argument. You have to make sure that there's no physical abuse going on, that nobody was touched or hurt, that there's no physical signs of abuse, and that way. A lot of times you separate the two, and one goes in their room, the other one leaves for the evening. 9 times out of 10, that takes care of the situation. But it's training, recognizing what you have, what you're dealing with, and again, this is something we deal with all the time. And making sure that those people understand that you're there not to take sides, you're there to have peace between the two of them, and making sure that the situation is resolved correctly. And again, it's all about training and making sure that they have the proper training. In St. John, we have crisis intervention officers, which I want to expand the program. They deal with mental health situations. So if somebody's experienced mental health, they're trained to properly respond to those incidents and give the resources that these people need on a long-term basis to making sure that they're getting the help. Back in the day, the easiest thing for us to do is just arrest them, throw them in jail, and a couple days later, they're back home. That was the solution back then. It's not anymore. We have to be better. We have to make sure that we actually are serving the people and we're going there and providing the resources that they need, whether it's domestic violence shelter or any kind of counseling. So our officers are trained to do that and provide those resources to them.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Deputy Jenkins, I think this is a wonderful question for you. Jail conditions for non-violent offenders. A non-violent adult is booked into a county jail and leaves in a worse condition, mentally, physically, or emotionally. What changes will you implement to ensure the jail is not making people worse, especially those that have non-violent offenses?
Thank you for the question. Non-violent offenders, if there's room in the jail, should be separated from violent offenders. We need to make sure that those who are not a threat to society and can be released back into society without being a threat to people can be released back either via ankle monitor, via probation, but you have to work with the courts to do that. I.e., so if you have a young lady who's arrested for driving while suspended, she's not a threat to society. I would work with the courts to make sure these people are released back into society where they can have their day in court, but also be free from any sort of harm or danger. Make sure that those that are in the jail are properly supervised, and to make sure that those that are being supervised in the jail aren't harming each other. It all comes about by us working together with the courts, the correctional staff, the administration to ensure that those that are not a threat to society can be released back into society and have their day in court and adjudicate their case. And also making sure that those that are currently housed are not a threat or being threatened or being harmed while they're incarcerated in Lake County Jail.
Thank you so much. Our next scenario. An adult is experiencing a mental health crisis in public, and law enforcement is first to respond. What is your plan to ensure that the situation is handled with care, expertise, and the right professionals, not just force or incarceration?
first of all, to assess the situation and make sure everybody around him, including property and people, are safe. Also, now, with mental illness, there is autism. And with autism, usually people are stimming. So you have to be very careful because you can't look them in the eye. You can't speak to them. You have to let them get through. It's a process. And if they go down, you start going down with them and speak to them and reassure them in a very mild manner and tone that you are with them and everything's okay until they come down. Because I think there's some confusion sometimes with autism and mental illness. But with that, just to make sure that you are trying to communicate with the subject and try to de-escalate the situation, not knowing what the problem is. Because, as I said before, they're at 10, and you're coming into a very crucial incident where this can possibly go sideways very quickly. So you just want to make sure, as I said before, there's nothing there that can cause them harm. And to reassure them that you are there to help them, that you have resources, that you can refer them if they need to be committed. If you can call a family member that can come and assist you, or your officer is watching while you're trying to de-escalate and find out what the problem is with that person. Mental illness is different with everybody. And so could be PTSD. And that's another thing that I would like to do is with the vets, to have them on a card that I carry with me every day, because I'm in a uniform, in a march unit, in a car every day, where I deal with different people every day of different walks of life in different situations in the assignment that I currently am, where I'm at. And with that, I have resources of where we can refer them to and provide for them safety and make sure that, as I said before, them and property are safe.
Thank you. Our last scenario. Residents in the neighborhood feel the crime is increasing, but also feel over-policed without results. My question to you is, how will you balance visible enforcement with actual crime reduction? And how will you measure success beyond arrest?
Right. So the Sanchez administration is going to look at place-based analytics, okay? That's predictive analytics. That lets us take the information of what's happening, where it's happening. We collect that information, we look at it, and then we allocate resources appropriately. So it doesn't matter what's happening, where it's happening. We're going to get a grip on it. We're going to use technology, and that's how we'll take care of that. It's pretty simple, I think. Visibility should reduce crime. If I have units in a high crime area and they're actively driving around looking for crimes to prevent, not hiding somewhere trying to get somebody speeding on the way to work, having a hard day, no. We're not going to be ticket writers. We're going to be policing with purpose, not politics. And that's going to go a long way. We're going to set the tone. We will be out there. Look, we've got a lot of bicycles that was purchased not too long ago, okay? They just sit abandoned. They don't get used. I'd like to see our guys out on those bikes in some of these neighborhoods. Maybe walking a beat, put a couple guys together, get out there, go play hoops with the kids, be seen, know what's going on. That's how we're going to take care of that. And as far as the question that was asked to Chief about them low-level offenders, how we get them out, yeah, let's pick up a phone. The chief of police can do it. Pick up the phone, talk to those judges. During 2020, I invented the video hearing program, okay? I know every judge. I know exactly what's happening in every community. And I know the judges who are making people sit in that facility for over a month for driving while suspended. It shouldn't happen. We could fix this tomorrow. We could have fixed it yesterday. Let me know. I've got the judges' numbers. We could call them, okay? Our jail's over 1,000. Once we hit 800 and up, we start to feel it. We don't have enough resources. People start to suffer. So we need to get that number from over 1,000 down to 800. We had it down to 500 during COVID. We can do it again. What we need is somebody who, if he's going to get up here and claim to know what to do, why haven't we done it? It's my question.
All right. As we are wrapping up, this is going to be our mic drop question. And this mic drop question is coming from our youth moderators. With this mic drop question, I don't want you to have time to really respond, so I'm giving you 1 minute. All right? 1 minute to tell us honestly about this question. All right? Are we ready, son? Good? All right.
When no one is watching, what guarantees the people in this room that your leadership will still protect them?
30 years of law enforcement, integrity never been questioned. Integrity is not what you do when everybody's looking. Integrity is what you do when no one's watching. I can assure you that my integrity is above reproach, and I can assure you that I'll make sure you're protected because I'm doing it now. Thank you.
Your integrity is all you have, and your name is all you have. You want to make sure that you don't tarnish that badge or tarnish your name. What I was brought up in the values that I learned and the things that I was brought up on is to make sure that you always stay honest when no one's watching. And I guarantee you, I know there's stuff being said out there, but I'm telling you right now that there's no other candidate that has the experience, the administrative experience and police experience to bring integrity to the department. And I promise you, I will bring that to the sheriff's department and will not let you down. Thank you.
Well, that's not up to us. We can stand here till we're blue in the face and tell you how honest we are and all our integrity. That's on you. That's up to you. That's how you perceive us when we talk. So it's not about money being poured into a campaign. It's not about these people that are the string pullers to the candidates. It's about you and what you think and what you have invested and how we have come up here honestly to speak to you and you have perceived it. So it's not on us to tell you how honest we're going to be. I mean, shoot, I can tell you we're all saints up here, but we're not. That's up to you to decide by listening to us, researching us, going to our social media, see who we're surrounded by, see how our careers have gone. That's how you decide. It's up to you, folks. You're the community. I'm the community too. So please, take some time, investigate, take a look, listen carefully to what all the candidates are saying. And it's on you what you think. Don't put it on us to tell you how to think.
So how can we guarantee integrity when nobody's looking? I believe that was something like the question. That's simple, because Jack Sanchez believes someone is always looking, and that's Jesus Christ. Okay, I walk firm in that belief. You never don't have eyes on you. Okay, and as sheriff, I believe that, and that's how I conduct myself every day. Okay, someone's always watching, and it ain't Santa. All right, that's Jesus. So you got to do the right thing as a young man. As you get older, you're going to have a lot of decisions to make. But just know, someone's always watching, and we will be judged when it's all said and done. Okay. Thank you all very much. God bless you, everybody. Thank you.
All right. I want to also make mention that Major Jerry Williams was here in attendance. He did not stay, but he did come and to support the event. So we wanted to make mention that he was here. We're going to shoot it to our host as we're leaving, but I wanted to wish all the candidates my highest regards and my best as you go into election day. As an elected official, I know how hard it is to put your name on the ballot. I know how ruthless it can get, and I know how nasty it can get. But I would like to say that I look up to you all. You guys did a great job, and you supported us when most wouldn't. So I appreciate that, and thank you for always showing up.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending this event. But I would like to get a shout out to, there were some elected officials that were here that have left. Monica Guzman of the 1st District, Terry Hill of the 3rd District, Stacy Winfield of the 4th District, Councilman at Large Dwayne Rancifer. There was some precinct committeemen that were here as well. If I forget you, I'm sorry, as well as the precinct committee candidates. Good luck to everyone. Go out and vote.